Just days after the United States increased tariffs on Canadian imports from 25% to a staggering 35%, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney responded by stating that he would speak with President Donald Trump when the time is right. "We just want fairness. It's simple," said Trump. "We like Canada. I love Canada. I have many friends there. But they've been very poorly led." This sudden tariff hike brought immediate consequences. In Ontario, printing presses fell silent. In Juarez, robotic welding lines stopped mid-shift. The highly integrated North American automotive supply chain, once a seamless operation between the US, Canada, and Mexico, began to grind and stutter. Will Trump's tariff wall withstand the backlash? Or will it shatter, scattering the continent's production axis across new international corridors? In this video, we examine the economic earthquake triggered by the 35% tariffs, how it's reshaping the auto industry, and why the Canada-Mexico partnership may be the new cornerstone of automotive production. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, like, and enable notifications so you don't miss future updates. A tectonic shift in trade tensions among the US, Canada, and Mexico had been escalating for over 3 years. In the final week of July 2025, those tensions exploded. A single sentence in a US presidential executive order imposed 35% additional tariffs on a wide array of automotive goods, components, truck bodies, steel frames, electric powertrains, under the guise of protecting domestic industries for national security. The fallout was immediate and widespread. In Ontario, 3 major plants near the St. Clair River shut down. 12,000 workers saw their shifts cut. In Mexico, factories in Juarez and Saltillo reduced their operations to half shifts. The once fluid Detroit-Windsor-Tuca corridor, a vital artery for the auto industry, was abruptly choked. For Canada and Mexico, these weren't just economic headaches, they were existential threats. Canada earns about $35 billion annually from vehicle and parts exports to the US, Mexico, and even larger $84 billion. Losing that revenue stream was not an option. Enter the Canada-Mexico supply corridor. In response, Canada and Mexico have begun crafting a plan to bypass US trade dominance. The proposal? A new international supply corridor that links Canadian Atlantic ports to Mexico's Pacific harbors via a bridge cargo system. Goods will be shipped by roll-on, roll-off, RoRo vessels across the Atlantic and Pacific, rerouting automotive components to Europe and Southeast Asia. Though this may appear to be a logistics solution, it's loaded with political symbolism. Despite not running a trade deficit with the US, Canada was labeled a high-risk supplier. Ottawa has responded with full reciprocity, matching tariffs and targeting American imports like whiskey, yachts, and agricultural tractors. Mexico, meanwhile, introduced a dual tariff mechanism to create cost symmetry. If US-made components are taxed entering Mexico, then Mexican parts sent north will face equivalent fees. Legislatures in both nations overwhelmingly supported this counter-strategy, recognizing the ripple effects across state and provincial economies. Strategic pressure points in Ontario's Windsor-Essex region, 5 major facilities produce vehicle body sheets, each responsible for 35 kilograms of parts per car. These parts cross the Ambassador Bridge into Detroit. Post-tariff, the added costs exceeded $900 per vehicle, prompting US assemblers to cancel orders. This isn't isolated. Mexico's Juarez, Hermosillo, and Tuca zones experienced similar slowdowns. Instead of directly attacking US automakers, Canada and Mexico are turning off the taps to ancillary industries, applying macroeconomic pressure that could soon echo in swing states like Michigan. As layoffs loom and supply chains wobble, US politicians will be forced to take notice. Global alternatives on the horizon. The broader concern? North America risks isolating itself. While the US market is significant, it's not the only game in town. Europe and Southeast Asia have rising demand for hybrid and electric vehicles. Canada and Mexico's new corridor may provide faster, tariff-free access to those regions. Ironically, Trump's tariffs, meant to protect domestic industry, could backfire. Supply disruptions, chip shortages, and labor layoffs may turn U.S. consumers toward European and Asian brands. Dealers in the Midwest are already slowing their inventory cycles. As interest rates rise, buying power weakens. Political calculations and economic fallout. Canada and Mexico's strategy is calm but calculated. Their retaliation plan is set to launch in January 2026, just as the U.S. presidential race intensifies. If factory layoffs hit states like Michigan or Ohio during that time, it could shift the political narrative dramatically. Behind the scenes, the financial sector is bracing. Canadian banks involved in auto industry loans are hiking interest premiums. Manufacturers in Mexico are losing margins on U.S.-bound exports. Hedge fund exposure is growing riskier. Even if Trump backs down, the damage may already be done. Idle machinery and scrapped supply chains don't come back online overnight. Restarting shuttered facilities in Cleveland or Youngstown would require massive reinvestment. A point of no return? This new Canada-Mexico axis marks a pivotal shift. Ports in Quebec and Halifax are ready to ship parts to Europe within 7 to 9 days. On the Pacific side, Mexican ports benefit from Panama Canal access and lower fuel costs near the equator. Supply security, not speed, is now the priority. U.S. manufacturers could soon find themselves out of sync with global logistics. Automotive lobbies in Washington are already pushing back. Currently, Canadian and Mexican components make up about 32% of Big Three automaker supply chains. If those are replaced by Chinese or Southeast Asian sources, America's nearshoring policy unravels. Final thoughts: this situation is more than a trade dispute. It's a redefining moment for North American industrial policy. As the Canada-Mexico corridor takes shape, Washington faces a tough choice: negotiate or risk deeper economic and political fallout. What's your opinion on this evolving trade drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications to stay informed. Thanks for watching.